Welcome to Sunday School for CEOs, where your next level in business starts with a mind aligned with God as boss. I am Jenny Bitner, ordained spiritual minister and business leader of over 20 years. Now, let me tell you, I have chased the titles, the money, the recognition, only to realize that the real pursuit is in experiencing mind miracles. And this podcast is here to show you how. This is real life. These are real stories, and these are real shifts from fear to love. So let's dive in. Okay. So I have a question coming in today around pricing. So, as entrepreneurs and business owners, pricing is kind of one of those questions and one of those things that a lot of my clients bring up. And there's that question or that threshold between when do we raise prices? When is it okay for me to charge more? I'm feeling discomfort around the conversation of pricing. So, let's dive into this. Okay, so I had a client ask this question. How do I raise my prices and charge what my work is truly worth without feeling guilty or fearing that I'm not qualified enough or losing the loyal customers who helped build my business? Alrighty, so let's dive in. So, first off, let's just remember that every form of fear is ultimately the same fear. It's in a separation from God as our true source. So if you've listened to this podcast before, you know I talk about this all the time, right? There is context. Everything that we do is either an expression of love or a calling for love. Those are the only two contexts to which we will do anything in this lifetime. Two contexts: fear and love. Love is an expression of love. We are doing something out of love, we are doing it from our highest self. A call for love is something where we're doing it out of fear. We're doing it out of the ego's playground. And so when we are with people and we feel we can make that discernment in that moment, like this person is calling for love, their ego is in the sandbox. I have the capacity to extend love in this moment, which is actually what they need. So we don't ever want to match people's call for love. Like if they're expressing something from the ego, fear, whatever it may be, and that expression is intense and we know that it's not coming from their highest truth, we can extend love in that moment. And if we don't have the capacity for it, we don't meet them where they're at. That is the greatest the greatest test of patience and understanding and compassion and empathy is when we're able to actually be in a situation with someone who is calling for love and we don't match them there. Instead, we offer love that we have. Now, what does this have to do with pricing? Okay. When we struggle with pricing, this issue is rarely about the actual money. It's about what do I believe gives me value. And so pricing becomes one of those forms, right? So we talk about context is love or fear, aka an expression of love or a calling for love. Form is the billion different ways that situations in our external world show up to give us opportunities to heal, to have an awakening, to have an awareness around where we are experiencing separation from God. And so when we are someone who believes that our worth comes from the opinions of customers, proving ourselves, worried about changing our pricing because we're going to disappoint people, where we're feeling guilt, right? Because guilt around money only comes from the belief that for one person to gain more, another person has to lose. And the truth is that the Holy Spirit teaches a very different economy than what we're used to. The Holy Spirit sees nothing but abundance. And serving other people will never, through the lens of God and the Holy Spirit, serving others will never require self sacrifice because there is a difference between generosity that is guided by love and then self denial that is guided by guilt. I'm gonna deny myself raising the pricing because I would feel really bad for my clients. What about the people who will no longer be able to afford my services? I self-denial, self-sacrifice in the goodness of me still serving the people. That is actually not what spirit is asking you to do. Love does not ask you to abandon yourself in order to care for other people. So raising your prices is not first a business decision, it's actually a healing opportunity. Can you allow yourself to release the belief that your value must be earned? Can you trust that those who are aligned with your service will stay with you? Some will bless you and move on, but new opportunities will always appear. Every relationship can be passed into the hands of Holy Spirit when you're making decisions like this. Whenever there's fear that comes up that you're going to lose people, lose clients, just pass those individuals into the hands of Holy Spirit. Because when it comes to pricing, again, this isn't a value because otherwise we'd all say that we're worth $1,000,000 an hour because we have an abundance of value. We place an abundance of value on the work that we do. Pricing f for me, this is my in my experience of the world, pricing is a frequency. It is a frequency that you are a match for, and it shifts and changes as your energetic exchanges shift and change. And so the real question is not what price should I charge? The question is, can I remember that my worth is created by God and therefore requires no apology, no discount, no defense? It just is what it is. So when our business is led by love, we extend our gifts freely and receive abundantly, and we trust that there's going to be guidance by spirit in every single exchange we have. And so how I want to also position this is I actually have an example recently that just this just happened with. And so I had an independent contractor that I had positioned to bring into my team, and she proposed her hourly wage, and I thanked her and let her know that it was just a little bit outside of our current budget right now, but I would be happy to, this is what we have allotted for that specific role. And she said, "Well, I would be happy to do that then." And so I actually felt something in that moment where I thought to myself, I don't want her discounting what is a frequency for her. This is what she's charging because that is a frequency match for her. That's what she has called out as the exchange on financial currency that she's doing for her business. And I felt it. I felt that, oh, I don't know. I don't want someone to discount themselves just to fit my current business because there's 1,000 businesses out there, million businesses out there she could work with. And so I did take her on. And guess what happened? Almost every single time we had a project, a client, anything that I needed her support with, there was always a conversation around the hours and the money and the budget every single time. And I knew from the beginning that it was because there was a discount. There was a this is where my frequency is with my pricing. I came down here because I really wanted to join your team, but there's always going to be that energetic difference and that feeling of there wasn't quite the amount of exchange that she had already placed on her business. Now, this didn't come down to fear. It didn't come down to anything other than just energy and frequency. So, again, pricing doesn't determine worth because we're all worthy when we come in. And there is never to be guilt because guilt will never be guidance from God. But there is a difference between generosity and self-sacrifice. So, when someone makes a decision out of fear of loss, like, okay, I'm going to discount myself because I don't want to lose out on this opportunity. There's a fear of loss, and that decision wasn't made from peace. And so when those things happen, there is a mismatch of energy. And I ended up just saying to her, I love you and I love your work. And I absolutely am going to come and use you for complex projects where we absolutely like I want your genius in on that. And for right now, I actually feel that it's better for you to work independently in your business and 100% be charging the pricing that was aligned for you. Don't discount it for me because that frequency will always hold and there'll always be this mismatch energy. So it wasn't as though she was like, "My value is so much higher." It's just that was a business decision she made. She discounted it out of fear, and then that fear began to run the entire partnership, right? Fear of it being unfair, there's scarcity, there's lack now, I'm not getting paid enough. So and I can't have that energy in my business. That is absolutely one of my values as well, is that the people who work with me feel blessed and abundant. So as soon as I feel that someone isn't feeling that way, and I realize it's because they've actually discounted themselves and came in from that place, there's going to be somewhere and someone and a team that is going to absolutely want to partner with you at 100% of exactly what you proposed. And that's where the energy takes off. And, I just brought in a girl who she proposed her hourly wage. And I was like, oh, great. I actually pay 20% more than that. And I didn't just match her hourly wage, I paid her what I pay that role to do. And I was like, "Oh, bonus, you're actually gonna be paid more than that here, because this is what I pay for that role." And can you imagine the energetic difference there and the excitement of this individual? Very different than I'm gonna discount myself out of fear of loss. So you can charge $5,000 an hour and be an absolute match for that and absolutely have clients for that, or you can charge $50 an hour and feel amazing about that. But if you're feeling energetically inclined to be charging $200 an hour, but you fear you're going to lose clients, no one's going to go with you, no one's going to hire you, everyone's going to think you're loco. So instead, you charge $97 an hour. The fear has driven the show, and the energy will always be off, and you may get clients, but you'll be resentful. So it's what context am I actually setting my pricing in? Am I being guided by God and trusting, or am I making the decision based out of fear? That is how we price when we are pricing based on actual energetic frequency and being aligned with how God is guiding us to actually set the exchange. So, if this episode spoke to you, it was meant for you. More where this came from, so just be sure to subscribe and I will keep bringing you inside mind miracles every day.